Good afternoon, everybody. We'll get started in just one moment, just waiting for folks to join. So we are just waiting. We are waiting for one other to join, so we have a quorum. So we're going to give it a couple more minutes, okay?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call our meeting to order, and we will do a brief welcome since we were just here together a few weeks ago. Welcome to all of the council members, and we can briefly introduce ourselves. We'll start in person, and then we'll go online. My name is May Flexer. I am state senator for the 29th district.
Good afternoon. My name is Megan Scanlon. I'm the CEO at the Connecticut Coalition Against Domestic Violence.
Good afternoon, Gail Hardy, Executive Assistant State's Attorney.
Good afternoon, Karen Foley O'Connor, CEO of the Network Against Domestic Abuse.
Jude Tuner, I'm the Director of Family Services, part of the Connecticut Judicial.
Are we
And,
jumping in online, May?
oh, go ahead.
Wasn't sure if we're just jumping in. Representative Tammy Nuccio, 53rd District.
Nancy Turner with the Board of Pardons and Paroles.
Good afternoon, Mark Palka, Judicial Branch, Office of Victim Services.
Ginger Will, Community Resources for Justice.
Afternoon, everybody. CJ Fortier, Judicial Department, Regional Manager of Family Services.
Good afternoon, Andrea O'Connor, Family Violence Victim Advocate Program Manager for the Umbrella Center for Domestic Violence Services.
Good afternoon, Johanna Canning on behalf of the Acting Chief Public Defender.
Good afternoon, Kevin Dahlma, Superior Court Judge in Hartford.
Good afternoon, Phyllis DeCara, member of the committee.
Captain Maynard, I think you're the only one left.
Good afternoon, Captain Maynard, Connecticut State Police.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. With that, we'll move on to item number 3 on our agenda, which is approval of the December 4th meeting minutes, which all members should have and have had the opportunity to review. Is there any discussion on the meeting minutes? Is there a motion to accept the minutes of our meeting from December 4th?
So moved.
Motion has been made and seconded, I believe, but I didn't catch who made the second. Did you catch who made the second? Okay, well, maybe someone else can do it. Second. Thank you. Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the December 4th meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Great. The meeting minutes are approved. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item number 4, which is our annual report and recommendations and a vote on that as well. And before we get into discussion, I will just highlight a few changes from our last discussion on this on the 4th. Folks will see that there's some small language changes made on page 2. Items 1 and 2 of the executive summary, and those changes are in more detail on pages 6 and 7 as well. And other than that, there are no changes to this document from the document that was reviewed on December 4th. I would accept a motion to approve the report and recommendations and a second, and then we can have discussion. Is there a motion to approve the annual report and recommendations?
So moved.
Motion has been moved by Karen O'Connor and seconded by Phyllis DeCara, I believe. Okay, any discussion?
I think we have just one minor thing.
Yes.
Under number 1, if we could remove judicial branch from that in just a form, because our understanding is this is most likely going to be a prosecutor workflow issue, and it's probably will be their form and not a judicial branch form. So if we could put just in a form and take out judicial branch, because there'll probably be a form from the Chief State's Attorney's Office.
Okay, I hear that suggestion. Thank you
not
for it. Yes, Gail.
Yes, Senator Flexer, if I could just elaborate a bit.
Sure.
I did provide a copy of this draft to the Chief State's Attorney, and we sat down and discussed this recommendation. And as a division, we're concerned that the language, specifically the last part that says, in order for the defendant to receive a favorable disposition, interferes with or may encroach upon our prosecutorial power, authority, and independence. We have no objection to a form being created. We're concerned that as it's written in this document, that it be a judicial branch form that, again, that encroaches upon our power and authority. And in discussions with the chief state's attorney, we would really just like to have an opportunity to meet with and collaborate with whichever entity creates this form.
Thank you, Attorney Hardy, which is how I should have addressed you a moment ago. I apologize. So are you in agreement with the suggestion that we should remove judicial branch, or you're making a case that we should keep the form as being created by the judicial branch?
We're asking, or we're in agreement with Mr. DeTuno that the word branch be eliminated.
Okay. So just eliminate the word branch or eliminate judicial branch?
I think judicial could be have some confusion attached to it. So I think we're going to create a form where that comes from and how it is developed is to be determined. So for clarity, I think develop a standardized process procedures, including developing a form, I think would be fine. Then wherever it lies, it might not lie in the judicial branch.
Okay, so the suggestion is that on page 2, in the executive summary subsection 1, that it instead read, including a form to verify successful completion. And the corresponding suggestion is that on page 6, in subsection 1, it read, including a form to verify successful completion. Is that accurate?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes.
Yes, and we would be in agreement with that language.
Okay, so I will take that as a motion and a second to make this amendment on the 2 pages as I just detailed. Is there any further discussion on this change? And Madam Administrator, am I doing this procedure correctly? Okay, thank you. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of changing the language on page 2 and page 6 to say a form instead of a judicial branch form, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the change is adopted, and we are now back to discussing the full report and recommendations with the changes we just approved. Is there any further discussion on the documents before us? Yes, Attorney Hardy.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Do not apologize. We are here to discuss and debate and to make sure this is the best product that people have worked so hard on that it can be.
So on page 9, I believe it is, the recommendations for arrest warrants and orders of protection, compliance enforcement, and outcomes. Under number 2, establish a protocol within each judicial district for the review, execution, and tracking of domestic violence arrest warrants. I would just note that in May of 2023, the Chief State's Attorney and Advisory Board of the Office of the Chief State's Attorney voted to adopt the prosecutorial or Connecticut prosecution standards, and specifically in part 3, sections 2.1 to 2.5 covers arrest warrants and warrant tracking. Section 2.6 covers law enforcement training on the issuance of arrest warrants.
I'm sorry, Attorney Hardy, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm not sure that we can all follow what you're detailing. Do you have a copy of the document that you're referencing?
I don't have a copy of the actual standards. And it's not a change that we're proposing. And within that, and within our subcommittee's recommendation, we ask that a procedure be established so that arrest warrants that were submitted by law enforcement could be tracked, especially those that come back for corrections. And my purpose this morning is just to indicate that the Office of the State's Attorney already has a policy in place, and it was developed through our prosecutorial standards that provides for the tracking of arrest warrants submitted by law enforcement and the training of law enforcement officers to follow up on corrections that are determined to be made in order to have the warrants signed. And that is done through our e-prosecutor or our management system.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion on the whole of the report and recommendations before us? All right, seeing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor of the annual report and recommendations as presented and amended here today, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, seeing none, the annual report and recommendations are approved. Thank you all for your incredible work in getting us to this point and creating this document over many months and a lot of hours of hard work. Is there other business to come before the council this afternoon? Seeing none, we will announce the date and time of our next meeting. Chair Scanlon.
Yeah, so we just have to come to an agreement, I think, on the regularity of the meetings. I think we agreed to quarterly meetings. And if that's still agreeable to folks, we can set those dates now or can send them out. Prefer to set them now if we could, the group. So if we were looking at quarterly, the end of February or March. I don't know if folks have preferences. And we would keep it to the Wednesday at 12:30. So if February 19th works for everybody. That was okay. 26th says co-chair Scanlon or co-chair Flexer. Yep. So February 26th. And then we would move to May 28th.
I'm sorry, what was that date again, Megan? I'm sorry.
February 26th.
And then May what?
May 28th. July 30th. And then September, could either be September 24th or October 1st. It's sort of, it falls a little odd. Any preferences on the 24th or the 1st? Okay, so we'll do October 1st. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that just so folks have the dates, so we can review and approve them. So it'll be Wednesday, 12:30. So same time frame, 12:30 to 2, February 26th, May 28th, July 30th, and October 1st of 2025. I think we'll set, yeah, we can set those dates. and December would be, well, the 24th is not going to work for most of you, I think. So we would have to do it either December 17th or the 31st. I'm going to assume most people are going to vote for the 17th of December. Or wait for Jay. Yep. Yeah, this month. Yeah. Okay, so let's set December 17th because we will have to have another report due to the legislature in January. Is that okay with you?
It is. It is. I would just suggest that in 2026, you have a little bit more time with the legislature because the session doesn't start until February. So you could also meet in January as well.
Yeah, I think, but we're gonna need time to do the draft, the discussion, and then meet in January for the full report. So if everybody's okay with it, we can keep the 17th and then figure out the January date in the new year. Okay, all right. So February 26th, May 28th, July 30th, October 1st, and December 17th. Anybody have any issues with those dates? Okay, great.
Great. Now that those dates are set, the next item on our agenda is adjournment. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Have a good holiday.